said that? That was a lot of crap. You know, he thinks he's so smart. I got a question for him. Now, any, you got something?
I have a question, but it might not even be worthy of an answer. But
by the way, you can feel free to ask and also have me reserve the right to say, let's talk about it later, or let's not go there. So.
Yeah, what is the Earth, planet Earth? It's not considered a graha, is it? Like it has no, like it doesn't. It's almost like it's a vessel.
The ascendant.
Okay.
It's where you are on the Earth, and that's where it is in the chart.
Okay.
This is why in the South Indian chart, what I should have given you, what I should have had, and what you can do in this chart is draw the Earth in the middle. Earth is in the middle, and these are the signs going around the Earth. So people say, where's the Earth? Why is the Earth in the chart? What about the Earth? We forgot the Earth. Everything is revolving around the Earth, right? It's like that's the focal point of everything. We're not doing astrology relative to the sun or whatever. It's like, it's a good question, and it's going to send me off on a little bit of a tangent. It shouldn't be too long, but you should understand. It's important, though, to understand that everything we see, if you want to really confuse yourself, let me try to explain the astronomy to you. Then we'll be going crazy. You cannot explain astronomy. You can only observe it. You can see it. You can observe it like with a video or something, but you can't explain it. It's too abstract. But the thing to understand is that everything that we're looking at astrologically or whatever is taking place from where we are on Earth. So the whole thing is revolving around Earth, right? Even just the fact, like, you know, like the sun rose this morning, right? We had the sunrise, right? Was the sun actually moving? Did the sun actually move through the sky?
Yeah, technically. Well, not really, but yes.
But technically, no.
Technically, no, but it looked like it was.
Does the sun ever move?
No.
So I'm sitting there. What makes the sun appear to rise?
The rotation of the Earth.
The rotation of the Earth turning. So the sun has never risen. It's where but you're stuck on the end of this globe, and this globe, like I said, is turning how fast? How fast is it turning?
100,000 miles per hour.
About 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and it's turning, rotating on its axis. And because you're stuck to the side of it, you're also going, and the sun is sitting there, and like if you're here, and it's then, let's say you're right here, then you're under the shadow when you're sleeping, and then you're stuck to the Earth, and it goes around and goes around, and then about this time you start to see the glow of the sun on the horizon, and then about this time the sun starts to rise, and then about this time the sun's getting higher in the sky, top of the sky, then it starts to go down again. Okay, so the sun's not doing any of it. So it's all taking place from where we're standing on the Earth. And that's true with all the planets. All the planets move around the zodiac in what's called the ecliptic. It's a very narrow band. And this ecliptic is the orbital path that all the planets take around the sun. Right? So they all orbit, you have the sun here, and the planets orbit in a very narrow band. And we're sitting here on one of them, watching all of it go. This is why sometimes planets appear to go retrograde and whatnot, because the speeds are different. And again, to try to explain the phenomenon of retrograde to someone would drive you out of your mind. You can't explain it, but you can see it in a model by just watching the planets move, like the real speed, like a model. And then if you drew a straight line through one, you would see why the one appears to move backwards, because it's faster, or because the Earth is faster than it. What is Paramatma? What is that? Supreme Self. Okay, what does that mean, though, Supreme Self?
The sun, everything is one. One without a second.
One without a second is a good way to remember it. Like there's just one supreme entity, right? Which is what we are all, which is from what we all emanate, right? What's Jiva Atma?
Separated, but it's duality of self.
The separate self. So how do we explain that in the context of Paramatma? Like how do they relate to each other? So we said Astrologically, the sun is the Paramatman. It's the part of you that's
It's
the individual
Consciousness.
or the soul that comes from the karma.
good. Okay, yeah. So it's like the individual experience of it. So we experience that Supreme Self through the agency of consciousness and the mind, and it's where all the karma is. That's where the feeling of continuity, that this is me, both in this lifetime from like your childhood and all those experiences, all of that gets stored there. So it's just that feeling of being who you are is really what the Jiva is, the Jiva Atman. So again, remember it's Jiva Atman, so it's connected to the Paramatman. So you can understand it this way, and then you have the separate self, which is like the physical body, which comes from the earth. So the three qualities, so the sun, moon, and earth. So the sun is Paramatman. The moon is Jiva Atman. Jiva. And then, say earth, these are the three things that create life, is like the body and the form that is incarnated in this lifetime. Because, again, you're here to have karma in the body. You have karma with the earth and with this form and this level of existence. Okay? Do you think you have karma on other levels of existence? Or just the physical? Other levels as well. For example, this jiva is also the world of like dreams. Do you think when you're dreaming you're actually working through karma, or do you think that's just a bunch of crazy stuff that we should never think about? You think it's real? Dreams are real. They're just as real as this. You could be dreaming right now. I mean, there is no empirical difference actually. But when you're experiencing the dream and you're thinking the dream is real, unless you're having a lucid dream, usually when you're dreaming you think it's real, right? You're fighting, you're having fun, you're doing all kinds of stuff. You're not like, oh, I'm dreaming. I think I'll just enjoy this dream. No, it's real. It's a concrete level of karma. But think about it. It's not a level that is restrained by your physical body, restrained by time. There are things you can do in your dreams that you can't do here. You can't just fly, or you can't do all kinds of other things, right? Because your dreams, you're like enmeshed with, you're united with the jiva consciousness. Then you're like, it's not separate. When you wake up and you're walking around in the body, the consciousness dream that there's a duality. But when you're dreaming, when you're asleep and dreaming, you're immersed in that. So you can work through things in dreams that you can't in this realm, and you do, and you try to. This is why if you don't dream, you'll actually go crazy pretty fast. As a matter of fact, I don't remember how long it is, but it doesn't take long if you deprive someone of sleep. And it's not just sleepless, it's not just dreamless sleep, but if you deprive them of dreams as well, I think you'll lose your mind in like 2 weeks or something, 3 weeks or something. It's not long. The layer between fantasy and reality will stop, and you'll completely like shut down. You become psychotic if you don't dream. So you have to dream. And so when people get into these ideas about what's it like after death, these other realms, it's like that. That's like the state when you don't have a body, but you're still a being. Does that make sense? So that jiva layer is very much like that. Can't say it's exactly like that, because once we incarnate, a lot of our dreams are of this earth or whatever, but we reach back into all kinds of things that are not necessarily of this earth. We go into different dimensions, and that includes different times and with different entities and deities, and all kinds of stuff are possible. And they're possible all the time, by the way. But again, we're very much just kind of a receptacle for all these energies because we're not a master of them. These great masters are, as we say, they're a master of that energy. If they want to go to some other dimension, they go there. Okay, I'll go there now and see what's happening in that realm, in that dimension. We don't. It just kind of all happens to us. So as you become more conscious, you become more, you gain mastery over these other states of awareness. They're just different states of awareness. Many of you, I would imagine, have read about, yogis and different states of awareness and consciousness, right? These are the things they talk about. And one of the main things that happen when you start to awaken to higher consciousness is you stop dreaming, or you actually become lucid in your dreams. Like, you're having a dream and then you wake up in the dream. Has anyone ever done that? We've all had that happen before, where you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm dreaming, so I'm going to kick some butt. I'll confess, that's what happens with me. There'll be something going on and I'll be like running from something and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm dreaming. I can just kick some ass right now. So I'm like, I'll just do whatever I want, right? Because I know that nothing's going to happen, so I don't have to run anymore. So I'll like beat up the tiger or whatever, because I wake up in the dream and I'm like, okay, I'm not dreaming, I don't have to run. So, but you start to penetrate, your consciousness starts to penetrate the unconscious layer of dreams, because dreams are in between unconscious, when you're just laying there not dreaming, and the conscious world. So the unconscious and the waking state in between is that REM sleep of the dreams. And so when you start to awaken more consciousness, it starts to penetrate down into that deeper layer. Then it penetrates even more, and then it penetrates into the unconscious. Because a lot of the dreams are subconscious, and then unconscious, which are things we're not even obviously conscious of. Then the more we awaken beyond just subconscious, we get into unconscious things, which is also where we start to unlock the knot into past lives and all of that. A lot of that is unconscious. Because when we incarnate the knot, they say that the knot closes. Because we say, why don't we remember our past lives if all this stuff happened? It seems like this is the only life. And it's for a reason, because if we remembered all of that, or if we were always, we couldn't manage what we're here to do. We're actually here to work on certain things, not every single thing. But everything is folded into that. And again, that's what the astrology chart shows. It shows all of that tendency and like what knots sort of close behind your past lives, and what's really going to be your tendencies in this lifetime, and how those things are going to unfold, and how you're going to generally see them based on all this stuff that you don't remember. So it's not right to judge our karmas by what we can remember. And I'm saying this intentionally because you'll hear people say, like, they don't believe that stuff. Like, well, how do you believe in past lives or believe in reincarnation? Why don't we remember it, or I don't remember all that? But we don't need to even look that far. We don't remember things that happened in this lifetime. There was a time when none of us could talk, we couldn't walk, we couldn't do a lot of things. Do you remember it? You don't remember. You don't remember. It's so far back. So we don't remember everything in this life. Our memory is for a certain thing. So certainly there are things way beyond this lifetime that we don't remember anymore, because there's no need to remember them, because it would also, at least spiritually, interfere with the karma of this lifetime. And I literally mean the karma of incarnating with a physical body to work on those things, to take those actions. And remember, it said Lord Vishnu he incarnated as Janardhan, which is to destroy the illusion of birth. And this is what he means by birth. He doesn't mean this, he means this. To destroy the illusion that you're just this creature that incarnated now with a body. And we think that's what we are. We're hooked into that idea that I'm this person. I'm this separate person who was born this day and who, has these tendencies, and I have these problems and these glories, and to destroy the illusion of that. Right? So that's what the astrology practice. That's why Lord Vishnu has incarnated as the 9 planets. So that when we come here in this physical universe, again, it says he runs this physical universe with how much of his energy? How much was it? 1/4. So 1/4 of his energy maintains this physical universe. So again, there's all these other universes that aren't physical. They're also creation, and we exist in them as well. But this one is for this reason. You see the distinction? Like, we're here with karma, with the body and the earth, and this creates a limitation and a structure that we have to respect. We can't just start flying or beating up tigers or doing things, right? We have to honor the restrictions of time, space, the the decay of the body, getting old, all of the deep complexes that we enter once we incarnate. We start and we have to face a lot of things that force us to what? What do you think it forces us? Why do you think we incarnate this way with this form? What does it make us do that's different than the other realms of karma?
Breakthrough challenges, they grow. We have a body, so you have to.
So your body takes on the karma as well, right? Like let's say things are around, food is always a good one because it's an easy one, but you all had lunch, you're feeling the karma of the food choice, right? For, whatever it was, good, bad, or whatever, right? Over time, again, this magnifies your bodies, will show you, your body is a manifestation of your choices, right? If you don't sleep enough, you're going to feel it, and it's going to force you to do it. So we incarnate with this body and this mind, this emotional mindset, because it makes us put into practice what we think we know. Because this body and mind experiences pain and pleasure very easily. We get immediate feedback into our choices, immediate. It's not some abstract thing somewhere, sometime in some dream or whatever. It's like, if I get mad and I insult you, I'm going to get immediate feedback by your either, aggressive action back or your hurt feelings, and I'm going to see it and I'm going to experience that in real time. Not in some netherworld somewhere or in some confusing place. It's concrete, immediate, and over time we start to see, we can see our choices, like, especially, like hurting people or being hurt, or how much to trust and how much to this and this. We're always in these situations, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, like I was explaining, we're always having to juggle very complex and subtle things and actually, act on them, or choose not to. Again, that whole not doing it is also an action. So when we incarnate with this body and this psychology and this mindset and these feelings, there's nowhere to run. It's not just some dream. And it's very easy in other realms to not be as accountable. This is a hard way to be. This is the toughest realm in that regard. Incarnating with a body on the earth isn't easy, especially in different ages, and this is the hardest age. They say we're either in the Kali Yuga or the Dwapara Yuga. I think we're in the Dwapara Yuga, which is the next one, but it's still a hard one. Anytime you come here with the body and the emotions and knowing that the body, knowing that you think you're going to die, it's a tough one to get over, ain't it? Doesn't get much harder than that. The person you think you are will one day be dead. And you'll be one of infinite number of people that incarnated and loved people and did this and it was also important, and you were dead, nobody ever thought about you again. It's a hard one to swallow, isn't it? It's pretty hard to swallow. And that's what we're looking at. And so that makes you get serious. It makes you say, okay, what is that all there is? Is that the point? What's the point? Or choose to remain foolish and ignorant and not face it. Again, these are all choices. And we all have some choice. We've all made some kind of choice or are making those choices. So our karma comes down on those terms. And, again, Lord Vishnu is the one who's maintaining that. And the two different levels of self between the body and the sun, that's what the mind is, because the self of the sun, there's a lot of illusion around who I am. Who am I? Am I this one with everything? But that usually feels like me. Me, the center of everything, right? Right? That's me. Did you forget who was the most important? It's me. This separate person. And we mistake the body for the soul, I guess you might say. Because we walk around like we're the most important person most of the time, on some level. We don't consciously say that, or we don't want to think it like that, but as soon as we start to suffer or get upset, the whole universe is revolving around that. It kind of collapses in on that. So going in between these two things, the sun is always trying to burn away all of that individuality, and the body is trying to preserve it, actually. We're trying to stay alive. No matter what, we're serving the body more than anything most of the time. We've got to sleep, we've got to eat, we've got to go to the bathroom. No matter how interesting this conversation is, if you had to go to the bathroom, you go and say, well, fill me in later, because the body is very important. So going in between the limited self and the unlimited self is the moon, or the mind and the emotions. This is why our emotions are so volatile and in flux, because they're trying to integrate these sort of opposite shores of existence. This very concrete one, where we know we're alive, we're not sure where it's going, and this one that is like, we have to sort of believe it. Like, okay, well, I believe I'm this, but how do I feel whole with that self? So that's what the moon is doing. The moon is that's what the emotions are. The moon and the emotions and the mind are always trying to take this limited circumstance and situation and say, so is that, so that's the bigger picture. So that's where this fits into this larger self. Does that make sense? Your moon and feelings are actually trying to integrate and feel whole, feel integrated. And you can even really understand it like this. You can't look at the sun directly. You literally can't. You can't look at it. It'll burn your eyes out. It's too much. The way you get to the sun, the white hot Paramatman is inward. It goes through the heart. It goes through the heart. You have to turn inward from the body, turn inward, which is the moon, inward toward the heart, and then the soul, the Paramatman, becomes illuminated. But it's through surrender. You know the word surrender? You heard that word? Anyone ever surrendered 1 second of their life, ever? Sure. Yeah, it's a hard one. It's hard, just completely, utterly defenseless, like no just spiritual surrender and devotion is the hardest thing to do, because there's the person who is surrendering. Like any vestige of I is there, and we're hardly ever without that, at least completely. So it takes a long time to be able to do that. But once we do totally surrender, then we're unified. Again, it's that same thing we're saying about the karma. The mind and the moon vacillating between past and future and feelings and emotions bubbling up. There's always that moment of silence and stillness and peace, which is actually the connection to that Paramatman. But it only comes through surrender, through the heart. I wish there was another way. I wish I had better news for you. But that's the only way. We try every other way. We try to fight our way to it, think our way through it. What do I do to get there? How about nothing? Try on nothing for size. Like, become a zero, they say. Become a zero and you become a hero. That's the kind of... Like, just completely wipe out the whole strategy that I'm this separate being, or that I'm the one surrendering, or there's anyone in here to surrender, or anything. It's very deep. So, this was where I wanted to start anyway when Joey asked about the Earth. It's a good opportunity to talk about how these three entities show these three different parts of who you are. Universal self beyond any differentiation. That's the way to really look at the sun. Undifferentiated self, where there's only one. Non-localized is the other way I say it. This is the localized self. I'm the local self. Now my local self is in Toronto. Then I'll put my local self on a plane and we'll go back to San Francisco. These are all local space-time places. Just like when we do the pujas and we tell the deity where we are, we're in Toronto, that's the place. And then the time, we would use the astrological time. But this is the non-local self that's all pervasive on all dimensions, through space-time, everything. And then this is the local self, and then this goes between the two. Between the local and the non-local self. Does that make sense?